Good morning, everybody. Where do we begin? Hi, Jimmy.
Hi, Ope. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you? I'm delighted to be here.
I've been better.
Yeah, me too.
I love that we're traitors.
Yeah.
We're being called traitors, right?
I did get a laugh. Was it you that sent me the text, or someone said that you said the Benedict and Arnold show?
Oh, yeah,
that's what we call it.
Yeah, that's the new name of the show. Benedict and Arnold in the morning. This is extremely strange, to say the least. There's no Anthony. Anthony's seat is empty. You should sit there.
I can't do it.
Everyone wants you to sit there.
No, but I want it to be really obnoxious and write Jim on paper and cover all the Anthonys in here. Just so when people came in and filmed, like, what a dick already.
Well, they're ripping down the wall, too.
Are they really?
Yeah, they've changed the name of the channel. They're ripping down the walls. They're pretty much, changing everything. And they want us to go along with that.
What are they calling the channel now? What is the temporary name?
I don't know.
They gave it. I remember it was a good name. It really sparkled. I like the name that they went with.
SXM or SMX or what?
Like Sirius SM Talk.
Yeah.
That's cool. It really has a nice pizzazz to it.
I think they want us to save the channel, but they got rid of Tim Sabian. They got rid of Anthony. They changed the name of the channel. They got rid of all the archives and then said, go have at it, boys.
Yeah.
We're in a horrendous spot.
Yeah.
We're in a horrible spot. We're in a shitty position.
Here's what it's like. We were having a threesome.
Right.
And the chick just got up to vomit in the bathroom, so Ope and I are just kind of in bed.
Yeah.
Not too sure what to do.
Yeah.
We both still have hard-ons.
Yeah.
Not going to take care of each other.
Yeah. Exactly.
So now what?
I mean, we could start with this. We have no choice. We have to be here. We're under contract. We're not excited to be here at this moment in time. Maybe this develops into something new and exciting. Who the F knows? I don't know. But, wow. Oh, I should mention we're on YouTube right now. We're trying some live event thing on my YouTube channel, Opieradio. Nice cheap plug.
Yeah, I can't stop looking at the camera. I don't know how to operate when there's cameras in here.
Yeah.
I panic.
Do you really?
Try to get FaceTime. I just keep looking. Yeah, I mean, people, look, I understand people are fiercely...
Well, look, fuck the channel, fuck the name, fuck you guys. Thank you.
Those are just things I've said.
Right.
People are very loyal to Anthony, and
we're loyal to Anthony as well.
This is not a disloyal thing. We are under contract, and you can't just not show up for work.
Well, speaking of which, because people are always wondering, Anthony wrote me and Jimmy this morning the exact text from Anthony to me. This will shine light on things, hopefully. I know you guys are in a strange position, but good luck tomorrow. I totally understand what you guys have to do, and it's cool. Let me know how things go. Keep in touch, yo. So there you go.
That was nicer than the one I got.
Oh, what was yours?
Have fun in a few hours, you traitor fuck. Signed A to the C.
I guess we could start from the beginning, now that we're settling in a little bit. Our last show was just before the big 4th of July weekend. It was on a Tuesday, I believe, right? And we ended our show early because we had an actual meeting with Scott Greenstein down the hall. And the meeting was another shitty meeting, to be completely honest with you. I told Scott and the company, if you want me and Jimmy to come back, we got to be honest. If you're going to gag us and give us some kind of gag order, there's no effing way we're going back on the radio. Okay. So we had a meeting with Scott, and it was just another kind of shitty meeting. A lot of excuses why this can't be done and that can't be done and why we're not doing this and why we're not doing that. And we all left that, office kind of bummed out, and we were just kind of mingling around outside the building, just kind of talking and going, God, man, what is it going to take to, get these guys on board with us in the radio show, right?
Right. You mean this is before we went on vacation?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Know. Okay.
It was right after our last show. Which, by the way, if E-Rock could pull the audio, Jimmy was the last person to talk, I believe, and he said, "This is our last live show," and something in my gut just sank. So there was something about how you said that, and I was like, oh, no.
I don't remember saying that, but yeah, you said I had said that, and I don't remember it.
But I remember thinking to myself, was that our last live show? Because we always wondered, because we've been doing this radio show for a long time. We always knew that it would just blow up someday. We weren't going to have the nice, easy out. We all knew that. We all felt that. We just didn't know how it was going to happen. So Tuesday, we did our last live show. We had kind of a shitty meeting with Scott down the hall, kind of depressed, kind of bummed out, like, fuck, man, now what, you know? And we all kind of went our separate ways. And then, of course, you know, Anthony had that incident in Times Square that we all know about at this point. And
yes, we're the fake deaf interpreter from Nelson Mandela's funeral, and he had a run-in.
Right.
An unattractive lady.
Basically, he got beat up by a woman.
Yeah.
I mean, the jokes, that's what drives me nuts. If we would have made it on the air, after that incident, he would have got a nice beating.
It would have been something comedians lined up for 3 years.
Absolutely. What did Keith Robinson tell you? Because we've been talking a lot ever since this all went down.
Just the teasing that we could have. He's like, oh, just the teasing.
Didn't he say something about it's his Reginald Denny moment or something?
No, I didn't. I didn't say that. That's funny though.
The Ruth Buzzy line?
I know.
You don't remember?
No. I honestly don't.
Huh. Maybe it was someone else that told me.
Probably someone else, because that's not familiar.
Maybe it was Bill Burr.
You talked to Bobby or Bill?
I did talk to Bill Burr. It might have been Bill Burr. Okay. Oh, I thought they told you, too, that basically, you know, it was his Ruth Buzzy moment that he got beat up by Ruth Buzzy. But anyway, so Anthony had that incident in Times Square, and then he goes home, and on Twitter he went nuts, and we've all seen that before, whether it's on the air or on his Twitter. But I got to be honest. When I woke up Wednesday, did it happen Tuesday night? I'm trying to get all my.
Tuesday night, yeah.
It was right. So Wednesday morning, I wake up really early, around 5:36 in the morning every weekend, and I always check, your Twitter. I check Ant's Twitter and all my friends, and I read Ant's tweets, and I said to myself, I swear to you, I said, oh my God, we're fired. That needs to be said. There was just something different about it. I'm like, oh my God, we're fired, because I think it was just the amount of tweets that he did. And they were harsh. I mean, they absolutely were harsh. And I understand why, because he was really mad at what happened. But I just knew in my gut, I'm like, this is not going to go well. Even though we, work for a company, as much as we bitch, they give us a lot of freedom on the radio. They've never really told us not to do anything. It's all the behind the scenes stuff that drives us nuts, but we've had a lot of freedom as far as our radio show goes. But just the culture we live in, I'm like, this is not good, man. This doesn't feel right. I said to myself, we're fired. We're so fired. What were you thinking when you?
Well, I got a text from my ex-girlfriend, from we're still friends, and she just sent me. She's like, what happened with Anthony? And so, like, whenever you hear that, you're like, oh fuck,
right?
And she's like, did he get beat up by a woman or hit by a woman?
Right.
And then I went and saw the tweets, and it's like, again, I'm not surprised in the morning when I see that somebody has tweeted late at night. But there was one or two that I was like, oh man, like, oof.
Right.
And I actually texted Ann about something to see, I was like, are you okay, first of all? Like,
right.
Because I couldn't tell if he had gotten fucked up or not.
Right, of course.
And then I got really nervous once it hit, like, the first blog or whatever. I was like, that's not good.
And then I sat there. I saw it hit the first blog. And then I saw it just grow. And we've been there before. I'm like, oh, man. Because you just know when it just goes viral in that way, companies get really panicky.
Because they're not used to getting phone calls from newspapers asking questions like this. Like, they're not, like, they're regular. They come to work. They're not used to, like, Page 6 calling them or something going, can you comment on this? They're like, on what? Like they're not, that's not what they're used to doing.
Sure. But I want to make it perfectly clear. Ant was pissed off, and when you're pissed off, which we've said many times in this radio show, you say horrible, awful things. But with that said, I just knew it was different when I woke up and read those. I'm like, man, I don't know if SiriusXM is gonna deal with this in the right way, in my opinion, which is to just kind of ride it out and see what happens.
And he said harsh things, but he didn't do harsh things. Like, it was really the the thing that I would, and this is where the press, I was annoyed at the press because if they go with the angle that you always know they're going to go with, maybe it's just what they do for a living and it's how they make their money. But the fact was that he didn't, like if I had a pistol and that happened, I would have pulled it in sheer panic. And he didn't.
Right.
And, you know, he didn't hit the woman back.
Right.
Which I don't know if I would have hit her back because I would have been might have been afraid of getting the shit kicked out of me or getting cut with a box cutter.
Of course.
But I would have reacted I probably would have reacted differently on Twitter, but I would have reacted much worse in the situation.
Right.
I would have done something really, truly, like imagine if he had punched that woman in the face or done something harsh physically to her. That's what the story would have been, and he would have been in trouble for that. It was like... You know, I wish that the press had concentrated more on the fact that, like, all right, yeah, he said some shit that I'm sure if he could go back, he'd go, okay, I want to reword that.
Right.
Or rephrase. You know, even if you wanted to say what he wanted to say, sometimes you go back, you rephrase. But I wish they would have concentrated on the fact that he did not do anything fucking violent while he was being struck.
Of course.
To me, that's an important part of the story.
Oh, absolutely. So then, like you, I texted him as well to make sure he was all right. It seemed like, you know, there was no real injuries or anything. But he talked about his eye was a little messed up.
Yeah, he sent me a photo of it, the fact that he had gotten clocked in the face a couple times, and you could definitely see you know, something had happened to him.
So then the thing started growing, and I'm just like sitting there just hoping. But I just knew in my gut, because we've seen this, unfortunately. I just knew. And then, you know, then I got the word from our agent, who I haven't talked to in months.
Yeah.
That they fired Anthony. I'm like, what? Meaning, why didn't they fire all of us? Because our contracts are connected.
Yeah.
You know, in that way. So they could have fired the whole show. I'm like, wow, that puts us in a fucking extremely strange position. So then obviously I got on the phone with Anthony and we talked, and you know, the conversation was very lethargic, to be honest with you. It was just like, fuck. It was almost like, you know, we both were just exhausted by the trip we've been through in the last, you know, 10 years on satellite radio. And it was like, well, let's just see what happens. We've been through this before. Let's see what happens. But once again, if I'm going to be honest, there was something about that phone call, like, man, this just seems different all around. You know what I mean? Just seems different for whatever reason, you know. I mean, people could say whatever the fuck they want, but the fact is me and Ant have been getting along very well lately, and the radio show was on a tear, you know, leading up to the incident. So then we kind of hung up and just, you know, both just sat there trying to figure shit out. And then I got the call from the company saying, you know, we're continuing with you and Jimmy. And I'm like, well, how the hell is that going to work? How is that going to work? You know, it needs to be said that we're under contract, and people are just walk out. Just, you know, just tell them go fuck themselves. But I don't think people understand fully, you know, what being under contract means and what breach of contract means.
Yeah, and the nature of this, and it's like I gave like the fans who were tweeting even really harsh shit at Opie and me, and a lot of you guys tweeted some brutal, like, you know, fuck it. I understood it. Like,
yeah, I understand where the energy's coming from, but
I blocked 20 people total in 2 weeks, which is not a lot.
Right.
It's like, that's usually a daily block for me.
Right.
But it's like I understood people were very frustrated, and they just wanted something. They wanted us to come out and say something that would just make it okay and concrete. And the reality was, it was a holiday weekend. I didn't know were we actually going to make it back on the air.
Right.
And you guys have to understand something too. Like, it's hard when all of a sudden you think, like, okay, am I just going to lose? Like, I have a 25% of a year's salary coming. Like, is that just gone now? Do I have to just all of a sudden go back on the road on dates that I didn't realize I was going to have to fill? Like, I'm panicking because of myself too. You guys have to understand we have our own financial worries.
Of course.
I mean, I do well in life, but I don't have, I can just step away money and not, you know.
And I do way better than Jim Norton.
Yes, he does.
Financially.
Yes, and in the cock department. 2 for 2, this kid.
I'm trying to get everything out, so I did forget something, which is really important, by the way. So when they told me that Anthony was fired, people have been wondering this for a while. You know, I was pretty quiet on Twitter and all that. I absolutely do not believe that Anthony should have been fired, okay? And the company probably is going to get really mad at that after this radio show. But I do not believe that he should have been fired. As harsh as the tweets were, as much as I had that gut feeling this was going to go down, I just do not agree with them whatsoever. They should have wrote it out. They absolutely should have wrote it out. And if we could have got back on the radio, me, Anthony, and Jimmy, we would have figured our way out of this one easily because the jokes would have been there.
Yeah.
The problem is with all those tweets that Anthony did, there were no jokes in there, and I understand why. He was really, really mad. In the past, when we went down some of these brutal roads, whether it was racial material or just really edgy material, the jokes were always there, and that's what kind of made it all right with everybody, I believe. But to see all those tweets without any jokes, it made it a lot harsher, and I just. It pisses me off that unfortunately it happened before a long holiday weekend, so we didn't have a show the next day. Can you imagine if we came in right after that? We would have skated. We would have got through it. We would have absolutely got through it.
Yeah, we could have talked it out on the air.
Right. Now, the reason Anthony got fired, I don't know if they want me saying this, but it has to be said. It was told to me that they were kind of even okay with the tweets in general. They weren't okay with the fact that there were so many of them, and what got Anthony fired, according to what was told to me, was they were really, really bothered by the fact that there was violence associated with those tweets. That was their line. That was their line, because they even said, they started thinking, well, we could maybe get through this, and maybe we could, throw some PR at the situation, public relations, and. But when the violence was associated with some of those tweets, that was their line. Don't kill the messenger. That's what they told me. Because a lot of people are wondering why. Right. And that was bothersome to them.
And it's really and look, if I'm running a company, I see that and I go like, oh, what is this? That would freak me out. But sometimes you got to step back and look at what happened. It was like when the incident happened, he didn't behave violently. Like, to me, that was the most impressive thing. It's almost like, you ever walk away from a potential fight or something, or just an insult battle, and then you're driving home and the whole thing's like, I fucking should have said this, or I fucking should have said...
Right.
And then you're all... It's almost like there's a state of shock when a physical thing happens, even though it's a woman and he probably could have kicked... Doesn't matter. It's still a physical...
Right.
Encounter, and you are in a state of I guess some sort of a shock that has just occurred, and then you just start sounding off after. To me, sounding off after is still a lot better than behaving violently in that moment.
Right.
And they said the same thing to me, that they were
did say
worried.
the same
Yeah,
to you?
they're worried about that, but the reality was he didn't behave violently when he was there.
Right.
So it just stinks.
It's a horrendous situation to be in. We can't just walk away. Breach of contract is a real fucking issue, a real problem, okay? We could be sued for millions, period, without breaking it completely down. They could blame us for subscribers lost. They could blame us for the money that they lost from advertisers. It would be a big fucking problem.
And I talked to Anthony. I saw Anthony once over the break. I went and saw him, and I'm like, we got to go back. He's like, dude, I completely, it wasn't even like he was like, oh, you do? Like, anyone that knows Ant, like, he completely, he's like, of course you have to go back. Like, right. He understands the terms of the deal and what can happen if we don't. It wasn't even a thought for him to go like, you guys got to stop. Like, he knows.
Right.
He knows exactly that we had to come back.
Right.
So a lot of the things that we haven't said on Twitter, I've talked to Anthony. I mean, I've been in touch with him probably, I would say, almost every day, either through text or through phone conversations,
right,
to see how he's doing. And he's not. I mean, the guy hasn't shed a tear since 1995 when his dad died. Ant's not. He's bummed, but Ant's not a fucking an easily broken individual. He's not at home going, oh my God, what do I do? He's fucking motivated to do something else.
I think he's bummed, but I think he's also very excited, which we'll get into that in a minute or two. But I'm just trying to make sure I got everything out. I don't want to forget any of this stuff. So...
Oh, he's on Fox right now. We're looking up, and we're looking at Anthony on Fox. It's so weird. It's usually me on my shitty Imus clip that we look up, and now it's Anthony on Fox on Imus is, I guess, going to talk about it. Hopefully so I can get that.
Oh, no, that's from... Oh, yeah, that's from
Red Eye clip, yeah.
All right,
so. Be funny if Imus threw him under the bus. After all the defending Imus that Anthony did, if Imus just was like, all right, he deserved to be fired.
Right.
I can't do Imus.
So then And the company kind of wanted us to go right back on the radio. I'm like, are you crazy? You know, we need a week to just digest what the hell just happened and try to figure out exactly, you know, what we're going to do and how to handle this, you know. Now we move into the podcasting situation. So when me and Anthony talked, we've talked a few times, and we've talked a bunch on text message as well. This needs to be said. We have had no conversations about podcasting after the incident. We've kind of talked about it as maybe an option after this contract ends. There was, I don't even know anymore. There was a lot of interest in, this radio show as the contract was coming to an end. And when we had those conversations after his firing, not one conversation about, hey, let's just move on and podcast together. Okay. With that said, Anthony has set up this whole podcasting thing. But I'm not involved in that. Jimmy's not involved in that. I've had no conversations with that through Anthony or our agent. Okay, and I think it's pretty obvious. And hear me very carefully. I think Anthony wants to go it alone for a little while. I really believe that, and I'm all for it. I think it's going to be a great thing. Because I see these people on Twitter, you know, just beating the shit out of us, going, "Why don't you guys quit and just join Anthony live from the compound?" If you kind of read between the lines of the interviews he's done and, you know, his TV appearance, I know Anthony enough. I pretty much could say this. He wants to do this alone for a little while, and I think he's very excited about it. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, he's setting up his live from the compound. He already has the setup, but I think he's going kind of further and making sure that to get it, whatever you have to do to get that type of thing started up.
Right.
And he seems very motivated to do that. So
right.
Yeah, kind of the same thing. I mean,
and I think me and you had the conversation. I've had so many conversations. I thought you were the one who told me the Ruth Leslie thing. But you made a pretty good point. Like I had my solo thing for a while. You've had your solo thing for a while, and I think he's kind of excited to have his solo thing for a while. For a while, whatever that means. You know, it might be a few months. It might be a few years. I don't know. I can honestly say we've had no conversations about podcasting or joining him at his house for live from the compound. And the fact is, like, I know a lot of podcasting people in that business. So if I was going to do the podcasting with Anthony, I certainly would. I have a stable of people I could talk to immediately to set it up, you know, the way I think we should set it up. I wouldn't go to Anthony's house to podcast. That would be crazy. That'd be insane. What we show up every morning and step over bodies to get to a studio downstairs in the basement?
It would be literally like getting Martin Sheen up in Apocalypse Now when they had to give this mission every morning. You gonna close the goddamn door, buddy? Hands half nude.
Yeah, everyone has these fantasies and, you know, like, okay, this is how it's going to play out. No, I'm not driving out to Long Island every day to podcast from Anthony's house. Nothing against Anthony, his house, or podcasting from there, but it just wouldn't work for what we want to do. You know, we would need to, if we were to go down that road eventually, we would have to build a studio somewhere in New York City where all the action is. We would have to. That would be your best shot at getting guests and all that as they come, you know, through. So, you know, that's my thoughts on that. I really believe he wants to go it alone for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, it is weird when everybody has their own solo thing, because being part of a team is always, like, I mean, it's a great way to go because you always have a partner,
right? And
it's a tough way to go because, like, individuality is hard,
right? Because
you're married to each other,
right?
It's like and I thought bands break up all the time and then get back. It's not unusual for a lead singer to go out or whatever to go off, and then all of a sudden, you know, an album later they're back together performing again,
right?
So I don't feel like, wow, we're never going to perform together. I can't even think that way.
Right.
That we're not going to perform with Anthony again. I can't think that way. It's just too fucking depressing.
Oh, I certainly don't want to think that way. You know, this is just, I'm hoping this is just another, another chapter in the book. But, I mean, you know, the best thing to do is try to be honest. And I have known that guy for 20 years, and how he's setting up live from the compound and how he's been talking in interviews and such. I think he's really excited just to go it alone for a bit. You know, I'll jump on there, no problem, down the road, you know, say hi or whatever. But I don't, you know, we had no conversations about, you know, just taking all this to podcasting after he was fired. It was sort of a thing we were, kind of talking about before, certainly, yeah.
And we just don't know no one knows where to go from here. This was one, like, there was no contingency plan for. Like, there's always like a second, like, all right, well, if this happens, we can do this. If that happened, no one saw it coming. I never saw it coming where one of you guys gets fired for something that occurs off the air. Like, I always thought it was going to be, okay, the whole show is gone.
Right.
Now what happens? It was something on the air. Right. Or me who gets canned.
Right.
I never saw this.
You read the memos?
Yeah, believe me, I certainly did.
And I think a lot of people, the hardcore fan base, they probably saw this playing out where you and Ant would have moved on together. That's the weird part.
Well, I was panicked. If anyone was, I thought I was panicked because a lot of times I was like, he's going to walk, meaning you, and I thought that was going to be the end of the show.
Right.
I'm like, he's going to fucking quit.
Right.
Like, I would get nervous when that shit would happen. Like, all right, now what?
Right.
Because I never saw it like, okay, well, then me and Ant will just move on, or me and you will just. It didn't occur to me that was going to happen. It felt like, all right, that's the show.
Right.
I'm pointing to and where Ant would used to sit.
Right.
And now I'm a part of that show.
Yeah.
Not I want to create a new one.
So it's me and you trying to fucking figure this out.
Yeah, that said, I have a meeting right after to discuss money. I'm running down the hall, discuss my new duties. No, we're not doing that.
And
for the fans, kill me.
There's a huge part of me that's missing here today. I don't know how this is going to work out. I mean, you're not listening to the Opie and Anthony show. You're not listening to us just trying to move on. Obviously Anthony is irreplaceable. It's ridiculous if you're thinking that me and Jimmy are just going to like move on. If you choose to, tune in this channel, whatever the fuck the name is, it's just now different. We're not trying to continue the Opie and Anthony show. That would be ridiculous. But my name is Opie, and I do like doing radio. But besides that, he's irreplaceable. It's obvious. I haven't done a solo show officially in 20 years. I did about over 10 years by myself. I know I could do this shit, but I don't know if I want to do this shit. I know we're here today. That's all I can tell people. We're here today. They might even get mad at everything we just said, and this could be it. Who knows? If not, maybe we'll come back tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I was happy when I found out that I wasn't canned as well. I was relieved. Okay, at least until October 4th, or whenever exactly the deal.
Right.
I know I'm okay, and I'm collecting, not just collecting a paycheck, but I mean, I'm going to be okay financially until that point. So, yeah, I mean, I don't look beyond that. I'm not saying I need to do this here forever. I'm happy to be here until October, and you said it before, but you can't just walk away. It doesn't work that way, and it's like it literally, if they come after you, and plus, if all of a sudden we leave when they are under contract, and they come after whatever new project you do, it's like you cannot just fucking walk away,
right?
And it's something I didn't even consider. Just
that's absolutely a big part of this, because I'm not going to sit here and say our relationship with the company is great. We've had our issues over the years. And like I said, the day before all this went down, we had just another one of those meetings where everything was just no, or, reasons why we can't do all this stuff. And I started in my head going, okay, we got less than 100 days left. It's time to figure this shit out. And then, the Ant situation happened, and then, it just throws everything into a frenzy. This is like a hornet's nest that's been kicked. Right. Now what?
And then there was no shows. There was like a whole bunch of time with the 4th of July. There was no shows that weekend. So I'm like, okay, I didn't even know technically, am I fired or am I not fired too? So the guys who wanted us to go on Twitter, I understood their frustration. I really did. Like, even when you were calling us fucking, you cowards, I got it. I would probably have said the same thing in your shoes. But it was like I just didn't know what to say about it, because I didn't know if I still had a gig or if I didn't have a gig. Right. Am I getting paid or am I had no idea.
I think also it's kind of important to just have a voice. We have a voice right now. Yeah. We could talk about this shit, I should have probably called you and told you weren't fired.
Yeah, that would have been nice. That would have been nice. In a fucking cardboard box. Get my shit out of the office.
I probably should have called you. How'd you find out you weren't fired? Because I don't think I called you.
I just it was by default. I kind of figured out, like, I haven't heard that I was canned yet.
Right.
And our agent was away, but he had a legitimate personal thing happening, so he was actually gone for that. So it was like, all right, that was why he wasn't immediately here.
Yeah.
This doesn't explain the past 9 years, but I mean, it explains, recent times.
I don't know.
I think I found out. I think you actually did tell me.
I did.
Yeah,
okay.
that you had talked to Sirius.
I just been kind of numb. I tweeted. I'm absolutely devastated. It's been 20 years. This was supposed to be a really good year. It started off nice with Ron Bennington doing the Unmasked, and I heard rumors they were putting together a massive event for the fall. It was going to be some kind of surprise. Someone tweeted yesterday, I think it was, that it was 10 years almost to the day that we signed with SiriusXM. We weren't allowed to broadcast because we had
the no compete, right?
The no compete. But I'll try to find the pictures. I'll tweet them. But they have pictures of us signing the contract down in Washington. That was about 10 years ago. Me and Ant almost to the day met 20 years ago. It's just horrible. It's absolutely horrible. I really thought maybe we had a couple more years in us. Maybe we do, But I don't know. I don't know how this is going to fucking work, to be honest with you. But we'll see.
I still remember when you came back, and I've told this before too. I met Opie at the train station when you came back from D.C.
Right.
And you said that you guys had actually signed with SiriusXM, and I was like a wife meeting her husband after World War II,
right.
Just waiting for your train to come in. Boy, I couldn't wait to get back on the fucking air. That's another thing too. Like for me, it's just this panic because I love to do this. I love just doing radio, and the idea of being kicked off again it just depresses me.
Right,
it depresses me terribly.
So, I hope I got everything out. I hope I got everything out. I'm sure I forgot something. Yeah, Jimmy said it for both of us in a lot of, interviews, but of course we love Anthony. Of course we do. Of course. I have an amazing life because I met Anthony 20 years ago. We've had our issues over the years, of course. Everyone knows that, but in the end, he's like, he's like a brother to me. We could beat the shit out of each other, but in the end, I fucking love the guy. Period. And I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah, it's something I never planned for, and you don't know how to feel about it.
Right.
I know how to feel about it, miserable, but as far as okay, now what? I honestly have no fucking idea.
We're in the worst position, believe it or not, out of the three. And is excited. AnthonyCumia.com. He's setting up live from the compound. It's starting up in early August. He's got something. We got this, and we don't even know what this is for now.
Yeah. He has a studio in his house,
and he's excited to go do that. And I who's writing me?
It's probably Anthony.
Oh no, and I think he really wants to go it alone for a little while. I really do. I didn't want to ask him flat out, but it's just the feeling I have.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I certainly don't want to ask that because I don't want to hear the answer to it.
Well, no, you would probably hear, no, man, no, but. Yeah. But we're not in the planning stage of what he's setting up, and that makes it pretty obvious to me that he wishes us the best, and we certainly wish him the best, and then down the road, maybe we could put this whole fucking thing back together. Who knows? Well,
weirder things have happened, and I'm not saying that just because that's something like my aunt would say, but it really is true. It's not that unusual that you ride things out for a little while and then things work again.
Right.
I went to his.
Let me go with that point for a second, because we have examples of that. We got fired by CBS Radio. Oh, why are you darting around the room like that?
I'm listening to you.
Oh, okay.
I was actually thinking of an example as you were talking.
You were going to give those examples?
No, not at all, but I have a better one when you're done.
Oh.
Better example.
Is it funny to bring it all together?
Oh, no, but it's just a good example.
Okay. We were fired by CBS for Sex for Sam, obviously. Everyone knows that. And Mel Karmazin hated our fucking guts. Fast forward a couple of years, they rehire us, to take over for David Lee Roth, not Howard Stern. David Lee Roth is who we replaced, and we did okay with that. BCN, when we were up in Boston, hated our fucking guts. We ended up working for them in, afternoon drive and morning drive. And then the merger happens here with Sirius. They didn't like us at all and brought us into the fold. So these are people that fired us and hated our guts, and then we ended up working for them. So I don't know.
And people may not find this encouraging, but in 1979, not to make it all about Ozzy Osbourne, a little band called Black Sabbath fired Ozzy Osbourne, and they replaced him with Ronnie James Dio. And who would have thought that a mere 35 years later, they'd have a new record? So for all of you people out there, you just hang in there for 35 years, and we will have some, finally get the band back together. Yeah.
Fuck. I did talk to Scott, and he's been civil toward myself. I could say that much, civil, and I got the inkling that the door isn't completely shut. They're not happy. I just have a feeling that it might be just slightly open, slightly.
Yeah,
for whatever that means.
Well, I went to the shindig, as it was, on July 5th.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't on the 4th. It was quite. I went late 'cause I had shows, and I was afraid it was going to be really sad. But Ants is one of those guys, man. If you know him, he was. I'm sure he wasn't happy, but he was fine. Like,
right.
He's not a fragile person.
No.
He was drinking. There's probably about 60 people at the time I got there, and a lot of the people had left.
Right.
And he's like, man, I'm just gonna, move forward and do what I got to do. But he wasn't like.
But he pushes his emotions down so far that I think they're in his big toe at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think he is kind of, bothered by this like we are.
Yeah.
But he's also excited.
I was driving home really depressed from his apartment. I was really sad when I left his house. But by the time I'm like all fucking sad in the car, he's still running around his house with this giant cock out. Like, he's. I'm not saying he's not upset. He is upset.
Right.
But he's not like, I was just sad because I'm like, this fucking amazing chapter is closed. Like, fuck. But yeah, it has to. Like, I always knew that this would stop, and I didn't know how. And I'm like, oh, okay, at least now you have your answer. That's how. Like, and not that that's supposed to make anybody feel better. I'm just telling you what I was thinking as I drove from his house.
Right.
Now you know what happens. Now you know how it ends.
I forgot something else that when me and Ant were talking right around the time he got fired. He did tell me, he goes, I was getting sick of that place anyway. I'm like, well, but we're still there. But he goes, I was getting sick of that place anyway. So, all right. Everyone has questions.
Was the phones of people calling?
A little bit. A little bit. I thought they all canceled their subscriptions.
Yeah, I'm sure a good amount of them.
We're listening for free!
Yeah.
Thanks for your support. Really appreciate it. It was loud and clear on Twitter how much you supported me and Jimmy, even though technically we had absolutely nothing to do with this. I was just minding my own business. Enjoying the 4th of July weekend.
Yeah.
We had nothing to do with this. Fuck. You want to take a break, I guess?
Whatever you want to do.
I don't even know. Do we have any production? Do we have?
We should definitely chat with people at one point.
Yeah,
too.
no, we'll take a break and then we'll go right to the phones. And we're not really screening them at all. I mean, whatever you want to say, you can fucking say. We have production?
Yeah, I mean, it's fairly similar to the intro. It's in the same vein, but it's production.
Okay, we'll be back. There you go. It's Jimmy and me, and we're in a shitstorm. So thanks for checking us out, I guess.
Are we still